What's happening, everybody, man? Thank you guys tuning in to another episode of Expert Mentors Live. Got my man, Mr. Nick Krem, back in the house. What's going on, brother?
Man, it's going good. It's going good, man. Just really excited to be here with you today. When I got the email, I'm like, heck yeah, I'll jump on.
I appreciate it. I know we've had you on quite a bit, and you're definitely a tremendous value add and really what this whole Expert Mentor series about back into this community of the Honey Badger Nation. But for those that are maybe just catching you for the first time, or they've seen a lot of your your marketing, your advertising, your content, everything that's kind of coming at them, and they're like, wait, hold on, who is this guy? Give them kind of the backstory, because I think some context to you and who you are really says a lot. And it also ties back to what we were talking about before, we went live, back down to, that decision of trust and authenticity times time. And we were talking about AI, and we're talking about, some of those things. So, I think giving a little bit of context, a little bit more about your story and about you will really help as we kind of, form this conversation and the value add back to the Honey Badgers today.
Yeah, man. So it's funny because this will be a great, almost testimonial to the Honey Badger group and what it's all about, especially this Expert Mentors as well. But, I got started in the industry as a ISA for just so happened to be Al Stasik's call center, right? Yeah. I remember the first day he came in, they're like, guys, you got to be careful of Al. So I don't know. I don't know if Al knows this story, but Al wanted to fire me after my first week. He's like, who is this guy? He can't make calls. Because I was so nervous on the phone. I'd never had a sales job or anything in my life. And then after that first week, I started to come into my own and start making calls like, no, we're keeping. But it's just funny how it all works, because I was dialing 15 hours a day, right? So I was like hitting the phones. I was getting all the NAEA training to sell it up to 18% more. I've said that thing so many times, right? Going through the NAEA training, calling for agents all across the country. I started working my way up to managing that call center at the time. And it's crazy thing. I still believe I'm young now, right? But I was like 22, 23, managing a call center. There's people in this group like Trisha Turner. She was one of my first contacts in real estate 6 or 7 years ago. And we were talking about how to help grow our business. But, we started running the call center at that time. And then I went to a mastermind that just changed my life. And it was that one in Key West. In the room was like Veronica Figueroa, Kyle Whistle, Dan Beer, Jay, Mike, Al, yourself. And, I went in there. Al kind of snuck me in. I don't know if we should say that on there, but Al snuck me in this, pretty much the back door. And I didn't have a name. I remember you came around, you looked at me, it's like, you don't have a name tag here. Just you whipped something up for me and I threw my name on it. Right. But from there, I literally went back, quit my job, started my own business based on what I heard in the room. And especially, like I said, this is a huge testament to the Expert Mentors. A lot of those people have also been on here with you. Right. I was in that room and I just decided I'm going in there as an empty cup. What that means is I'm not going in there thinking I know anything at all. I'm going in there just believing I don't know anything. I'm just here to learn. Hearing stories about people canceling their Netflix accounts to keep going, living in their car for a week with their family to make sure that the deals went through. I looked at my brother, my business partner, Michael. I'm like, actually, this is actually even funnier. So we went back to our room after that second day there. And we're like, all right, I brought out the whiteboard because I was hyped up on coffee. I start writing out all these ideas of what we're going to do. He's like, whoa. They just told you how to make millions of dollars in that room. And you think you can do it better? He's like, why not just copy what they told you to do? I'm like, holy crap, you're right. I think that's like a big thing about you doing these things that gives the ability to just copy and duplicate. So from there, parents' basement to beach house in 4 years. We were able to grow our business into 13 countries, all 50 states, just based on some basic business. Because dude, we didn't know anything about business coming into this. And we just decided if I have a question, I'm going to call John. If I have a question, I'm going to call Jay. So from that time, we've been able to grow our business based on a principle of solving agents' problems and making it simple. Don't create shiny objects, solve problems, make it simple, and help agents as much as you can. And, I'll never forget, there was another call that you had. It was agent to CEO. Because me and Mike, my brother, were co-CEOs. And you were on a call and and this was another training that you were doing. You're like, there shouldn't be two CEOs. There should be one who makes the decisions. I ran downstairs, knocked on my brother's door. I'm like, hey, you're CEO. He's like, what? I'm like, you're CEO. And then ran back up because I didn't want to be more. But man, everything that we've been able to do, growing our business so quickly, it's all thanks to, Honey Badger Nation, you guys, and just I didn't know how to run a business when I started, but I had a belief that I could based on that room and the people I was around. I was like, you know what? Why not? And then I just leaned on you guys heavy to be able to grow it.
You know, Nick, I think what's kind of really, a big takeaway for people, and as we get around, how to stabilize, how to grow in any market condition. But I think it comes down to make decisions fast. And you're like one of the fastest decision makers that I've seen. And so when you look at that, what is that framework? What is that for you that allows you to make those decisions so much faster?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And it's funny you say that too, the ability to make decisions fast. So when we started our business, I'm gonna tell this in a story here for you, John. So this is something that a lot of people in this group know about. I'm gonna tell the Live with Leaders story. All right. Because remember right when COVID hit, we did that big virtual event. We ended up having over 10,000 people tune into this. Average watch time was 6.5 hours, and it was all highlighting all of our leaders here at Honey Badger Nation. Right. But what a lot of people don't know is how it actually came to fruition. And it ties back into making that decision quick. So when we decided to start our business, we were about a year in, and we decided to do a tour of the country. Why? Because we were doing events for when you guys were doing your double your business. Like my brother and I, we were on the back end doing the framework, inviting people, running some ads, like doing that framework for you guys. So we're like, wait a minute. If we want to grow our business, we know how to do events, and we just made a lot of connections here. So I called people all over the country, the people we made connections with, and we were going to do a content cards, our first business, like tour of the country. Guys, we didn't even know how we were going to get to each place, but we just knew we were going to get there somehow, right? So we had 4 events in 4 days planned in New York City with Vincent Koo. I think dude, we were promoting the heck out of this. 365 Brandon Live. And we were going to tour the country on this, right? 4 events in 4 days. So we're in the Bronx, Manhattan, Brooklyn, and Long Island. 4 events in 4 days. 3 days before we were going to just drive out to New York, COVID hit. Oh. Everything down. Our entire business model gone.
Right.
We're going to tour the country in-person events. I pouted 30 minutes throwing things around the back room. Not going to lie. But then we made that quick decision. We're like, let's do this virtually. So then everybody in that group that I texted to do an in-person event, I'm like, let's do it virtually. Everybody said yes. I think this goes back to, I didn't really know that like these people that well. People thought we were best friends. But I go back to one of my favorite quotes that my man John Kitchen says, if you don't ASK, you don't GET. I just asked all these people to come on here, and they said yes. But here's the part that almost nobody knows about, John. First of all, we did a 9-hour virtual event. It was all pre-recorded. I hate to burst some people's bubbles, but we pre-recorded every video for that.
Yeah.
But then also coming up into the live pre-recording where we're about to launch it, we didn't even know if the software was going to work. Because at the time it was just me and my brother. We interviewed 16 different people. We got 16 sponsors, did the promotion, did all the invites. And by the time I was ready to go, we're like, crap, we forgot how to test this. So that was the longest 2 minutes of my life. It didn't work for 2 minutes when it was supposed to start. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we just put everything we had into this. All these people invited people. And then we just had to click play first and then go live. So we figured it out.
Yeah.
But just to go back to the ability to make decisions, I believe it's having just a firm understanding of the market and just of the problem that's there. It all starts with, can you identify the problem that's happening right now? I think so many times we think of solutions. I know I've done it where I'm thinking of these cool solutions, and you can go down rabbit holes of these solutions and you're like, wait, what problem is it really even solving? It sounds cool. We get focused on what other people are doing and things that are out there. When instead of just identifying what is the core problem that you see, you feel based on your experience. We're like, dude, real estate agents are in the field. They're on the phones and doing things all day, every day. What are the biggest problems that you're seeing and feeling, and how can you solve them? Right. So make decisions fast. I know when you identify the problem, man, that's how you can make decisions fast, because you feel the pain.
Right.
That's what I think that goes into it.
That's such a great point, Nick, is that, and to me, that's the shiny object syndrome, is we start chasing the shiny objects, and yet we don't step back and go, okay, well, what problem am I trying to solve? And, one of the things that I stopped doing it because nobody would ever respond to it, but you see on social, people saying, hey, I'm looking for, hey, I'm looking for a new book to read.
Yeah.
And my question would be, okay, well, what problem are you trying to solve? And nobody would ever reply because they're looking to consume, maybe some intellectual, entertainment, which is fine, but it's a better in, being intentional when understand that you're consuming something, you're thinking about something, you're thinking about a concept, you're thinking about a solution, you're thinking about a service, you're thinking about a product that solves a big problem. And so I love how you made that distinction in kind of decisions is like, okay, well, hey, these are the problems I'm trying to solve. Or even if you hear something, you're like, man, what would that solve? And is that a big enough problem or a big enough opportunity to pursue?
And, it's something that's, I look at this too, like coming back from events, man, I know I've seen it. I felt it in rooms when people come back from events, they want to drop everything and go do all these new things. I'm like, well, you can't drop everything. That's really not how it works. Right. So, this is something I got from Mike Reese when we were sitting there. He's like, man, the first thing that people should do, and we started implementing this, it changed everything because we come back from events before and have laundry lists and then I'm doing none of it. It's like, first make a stop. Like first make a stop doing list. What am I going? Because look, if I ask most agents, like, how much extra time do you have in your day? They're like, extra time? I don't have any. So why are you coming back with a list of more things you're going to do? First, what are things you're going to stop doing in order to make room for the things that you are doing? And then you start really weighing it out. Is what I'm stopping doing important enough or not important enough to start doing these things? So I think that's when you really start understanding, like, these things sound great, but you can't implement everything into your business.
No, not at all. And, Nick, too, I think what might be helpful with that stop doing list is go back to, is this helping me solve problems, right? Let's go back to that same kind of framework to be thinking through. Yeah. And it's like, okay, hey, is this helping us solve the biggest constraints and the biggest problems that we're trying to solve? And you're right. If the answer is no, and it's not performing, and, really comes back down to not only what's the problem, but also what is the goal? Yeah. And then, out of the goal, what is the problem that I'm facing that's not allowing us to close the gap closer to the goal and also move faster. So with that kind of that framework, Nick, kind of carry that in today's market, right? Like where are the opportunities? Where are the opportunities not only to get business, but opportunities to increase headcount? And just from kind of what we know and what the forecast is set to be, what are they forecasting? 4.5 to 4.6 million home sales. It's been closer to the 6 million range historically over the last run. It's been in that 5. So it's going to be a little bit less. Yeah. However, that's still 4.5 to 4.6, meaning 9 to 9.2 total transactions, total sides. Yeah. And if whatever number you look at, agent count is 1.6. Okay. It's coming down. There's still people getting in. That's going to leave about 5.5 to 5.75 on average units per agent. Kind of, if you did that statistic, as we know, there's some that do 100, there's some that do 1, right? But that averages out to about 5. Where kind of with this framework that you're seeing, that you're teaching, you're modeling, where are the opportunities for sales out of those 4.5, 4.6 million, homes that are going to be sold this year? And then where are the opportunities? Let's focus on that first, right? Because I want to, a lot of agents are like, man, if I could focus on retention. And I was having a really good conversation with Matt Durbin last week, and he said, productivity is retention. If you can get them productive, then that solves your retention problems. Yeah. And so I'm like, damn, that's good, right? And so it's one of the things I've been writing down, every day, kind of looking at it is, okay, well, what is your productivity strategy? Because if you solve that, then you solve retention. So where are you seeing in the market with these homes to where best ways to not only get yourself productive, but get your team members productive as well?
So getting yourself and team members productive, you know, my answer for this, so John, just right now, we're not focusing a lot on production with teams. We're doing a lot of agent attraction, because what I realize is my focus, when I tell people about productivity, people don't like my answers. They tend not to like my answers sometimes.
But let's
Yeah,
because you're telling them the truth.
right. So here's my answer for all that. Hit the freaking phones. Hit the phones, hit the content, hit the phones, hit the content, hit the phone. It is not, it's easy to do, but it's difficult to be consistent. It's not sexy and cool to hit the phones every day.
Yeah.
I don't care what people are telling you, never pick up the phone again, just shoot video. That's not the truth. It is the human interaction that will get you deals. So like when people are saying like, how do I get more productive? I'm like, you have to be more productive. Like how do you get more production? You have to be more productive. You have to do income producing activities. How many? And then it's just asking a simple question. How many hours a day are you dialing?
Yeah.
And most people are like, well, when I hear that, I'm like, none, zero. When you hit me with the well at first, you're doing zero. Because if you can't tell me an answer, well, I have a 2-hour time block here and here and here. So like for me, like when we talk about how to get more productive, man, what I would say is number one, do a call night with your team, with you and everybody. Like you can do these on Zoom. My man Sekou does them all the time. Call night on Zoom. Just mute yourself and then this is a great way, because I believe group atmospheres are huge. I know this because I've been in the rooms. I've been with you guys in these rooms when I thought I was a little tadpole coming in. I knew I was a tadpole coming in the room, swim with the sharks, but I'm like, I'm gonna grow up to be a shark one day, right? But I know like being in that room and being in that atmosphere, whether it's virtually and in person, is huge. So like something I would do a call night every day, And then just have everybody hop on a Zoom, everybody dial some leads, put in the chat when people get appointments, get nurtures. So then you see it in the chat, you see it, you feel it, you experience it, and do those call nights every single week.
Yeah.
Every single day, do a call night. You want to get more productive? Do call nights. I believe it's providing an atmosphere that invites people who are productive. And guess what? The people you can't force people to show up. But you can provide the atmosphere and you can provide the opportunity for the people who do.
Right.
So you want to start getting people more productive, host a call night and let people know about it all the time.
Right.
That's a place I would start.
Man, me too. You know, it all comes down to, you know, everything has to lead to a conversation, and you're not going to, you know, those things make, you know, the content, the consistency with the content, you know, joining the conversation in the head of who your ideal client is. Those things help, right? Stays top of mind, but you still have to have a conversation, and it just everything has to lead to that conversation. Yeah. And so I love that, right? Doing that together, doing it in the accountability, doing it in the Zoom. And those that are making that level of commitment to those activities. And that's the difference, right? You said you want more production, you got to be more productive. Well, the difference between productivity and being busy is just one thing. You're getting results. And you're getting results that's leading to new clients, or clients actually qualified and ready to do something and transact in today's market. I mean, it's absolutely key. So I agree 1,000% with what you just said. It has to lead to a conversation. Make the calls. You know, effort and it's one of Goggins' things. I think effort doesn't require talent. And you know, you can be more talented, but I can put in more effort and I'm going to be more successful. And I think that's just such a great reminder. And you know, over time, that talent will come. You know, I love sharing the story about the professor, his arts class, and he divided the class into two groups. And he said, you know, this group A, you're going to be graded on 1 perfect pot. Group B, you're going to be graded on 50 pounds of pots, pottery. Yeah. And at the end of the time frame, come to make the grade, Group A could not create the perfect pot. However, Group B created 50 pounds and they created perfect pots. So it goes back to tell you, it's just, you got to just do more. You got to do more. You got to create more reps. And you say this all the time, and I know we're going to kind of transition into your wheelhouse around content, is that like people get hung up because they think that it's got to be perfect. Progress over perfection. And the more reps that you get, the more you do it, time, that perfect pot's going to come out of there.
And it's the imperfection is the connection. All those things that a lot of people want to edit out are the exact reason people want to work with you.
Yeah.
You know, and I do want to, I'll get a little tactical here, just because like some of these things, like this one tactic, I'll tell you what, it was how to take over any neighborhood in 30 days. I don't care if, well, maybe Andrew Gadosh might be able to be the gorilla to fight you off, because that dude has guerrilla strategy.
He'll just burn you out.
He'll just burn you out. So unless you live near Andrew Gadosh, use this strategy. That's the asterisk I'll put on this.
Because he has, you know what's funny, Nick? He has a process that when some agent comes in, he just hits, it's like, he drops bombs all over the neighborhood. It means like he'll send like a postcard every day for like 3 weeks. Yeah. Then he's just bombarding you. Like, it's crazy how he'll smoke you out of his neighborhood.
He was actually just here in Sarasota with his family. We checked out the Sneaky Tiki, a good bar down here in Sarasota.
Nice.
But unless you live in Andrew's neighborhood and go after him, this will be able to win any neighborhood in 30 days. So we combine a lot of different things: content, calling, and in person, and mailers too. So the first thing that we do is we say, pick a local restaurant that you believe that people in that neighborhood go to, right? So you pick a local restaurant that people go to, interview the business owner. And in that interview, you just let people know, hey, to one person who shares this video, we're giving away $100 gift card. Right. So like that's the first part of it. Post it on Facebook, post it on YouTube and Instagram. One person who shares the video, we're giving away $100 gift card. That allows you to do are people who share that video, live in the area because it's local to that restaurant.
Right.
But here's where, dude, this is where, the land, sea, and air approach. You got to hit them on all fronts. So you have that video. Now the question is, how do I get it in front of people? So the next step is you send out a mailer to the entire neighborhood. The neighborhood you pick, you want to have the price point that you want and the turnover rate at a high enough one that, like, you don't want to pick one where people go there to die or retire, right? Sarasota, I'll tell you what, great neighborhood, but they call it God's waiting room because people come here and they don't leave, right? Until they leave. But you want to pick a neighborhood that's turnover and everything. So on this mailer, you just keep it simple. Have a QR code that sends them to the video. Let them know one person who shares this video is going to win a $100 gift card to this restaurant, and just the realtor and like your information at the bottom. But here's where it gets different. The first thing you have to do, Dan Kennedy calls this lumpy mail. So like my go-to is, we would always tell people, get an army man. You know those parachute army men you throw in the air and they fall? Yeah. Go to the dollar store and just buy a shit ton of those. And then put one of those in every envelope. Why? Because what do people do when they go to mail? Bill, boring ad. You're going to get there and you're going to feel it. You're like, what is this? Trying to hold it up to the light. You can't figure it out. So you got to open it. Right? The curiosity gets them almost every time. Right. But when they open it, they see the army man, the mailer, but then here's the kicker, a $1 scratch off. Put in a $1 scratch off in there. And here's why. You just gamified the most boring thing in the world to people, opening mail. Most people don't like opening mail because it's boring, that you have bills and ads. You just gamified it. And now they're checking out your mailer like, okay, I'll check this out. And this is where you actually start to take over the neighborhood. Go and door knock the entire neighborhood, because most people open it. Why? Because the curiosity of the army man gets them. The mail, like the scratch off gets them. You open the door like, John, what's going on? Like the reactions that people have gotten from this are insane. Because why? Because they watched the video, they checked it out after that, the army man, everything, they remember you. And once you go over there, it's just a basic door knock. Hey, we had that giveaway. Did you see it? Yeah, we did an interview down the street. They have some great food. Also, by any chance, you know anybody who in the neighborhood that's looking to buy or sell? You strike up conversations and you become, because we always say, once you control the mind share, you control the market share. You become the one person they think of. You just hit them with a video, a mailer, and in person. If you can't do in person, call. But we can all do in person. Let's be honest. Go door knock. Go meet some people.
Right.
Like that one strat, I'm telling you what, you want to take over a neighborhood and get listings within that month, that right there has been an absolute game changer for people.
I had a client that's in New York, New York City. He went to luxury conference in Vegas last week. Yeah. And we were just kind of talking through a couple of the trends, that the forecast of where they're seeing things. Yeah. in the luxury side of things. And, I mean, he kind of deals with the states, in that type of market.
Yeah.
And, he said one of the things, the trending that they're seeing, especially with the clientele in that market, is they're gravitating back to old school tactics, old school basics. Like they want conversation.
Yeah.
And goes back to what we were saying is like, guys, hit the phones, have conversations, go deep on relationships. That's what these, especially in the higher price points, that's what these clients are wanting, right? They're wanting to tell you their story. They're wanting to, wrap the whole experience into that estate, those properties. There's a couple other things that are trending there as well, but I love to your point. And, I'm smiling because those that I know that are doing this, and it goes back to our key word is consistency. Yeah. Those that are doing this consistently are having more conversations, that are having more opportunities in their pipeline, that are having, really, building up their business at a higher level. And, those that say, hey, what can they be doing right now? Man, I look at the agents that are thriving through this first quarter of the year that are either up or same as this time over the last previous Q1s. And we know every market's down. Yeah. And, anywhere from 40 to 10 to 15% markets are down. And those that are like bucking the trend, they're consistent. They're consistently creating content. Yep. They're consistently having conversations.
Yep.
You want to get it real simple? I mean, it's
real simple. See, and that's the thing. It's easy, but it's hard to do consistently. Mm-hmm. I would say this, it's simple. It's not, it's hard to do consistently. It's simple things. And the reason why most people I don't think want to do it is because they're looking for a magic funnel that will solve all their problems. Oh man, never hit the phones again. One click sign up, I'm in. But look, you have to hit the phone. So I think that's where it's, that's a big problem I see.
Man, even the click and the button has to lead to a conversation. Yeah. Click and buy is not happening. And so, everything has to lead and drive to a conversation. And so, the video is going to lead to a conversation, the mailer is going to lead to a conversation. And then it's that inevitability thinking, right? Like if I can create the conversation, if I can create the conditions to where I can guarantee a conversation, what would I do? Send them a video, I'd mail, and I go door knock. And then I would try to, if I can't get them at their door, I'm going to make a phone call.
Yeah.
So those are all of the things there to be able to go. Nick, what are you, getting into, kind of this, the takeover that with that strategy. This is great on the front end. And this comes back to a consistency. And this is where I would love your expertise and kind of what you're thinking about.
Yeah.
The follow-up, man, the follow-up is like one of the things that I know, even as a team leader, the frustration because our agents, and we come back to compensation drives behavior. And so they're compensated. They're not going to, unless they go hunt and kill. And most of them, that's what they're focused on. And most of them are not great nurturers, not great farmers, right? They're out there hunting.
Yeah.
And so your expertise, where you're seeing things go, even kind of what we were talking about before going live with AI, like how can you just master the follow-up?
Well, I think it all starts with number one, taking accountability for the follow-up, that we are in complete control of it. And I think there's some common misconceptions about some things out there, that there's such thing as too much follow-up. You don't want to email people too much. Once a week is enough. Man, if you apply for Mac, Apple, Microsoft, Frank Kern, any of these guys' things, you're getting Grant Cardone. Everyone, like you can rag on Grant Cardone all you want. That dude has more sales than anybody that's going to hop on here. Anybody. And I'll tell you what, when we upped our email game, everything changed. So I think just one of the simple places to start is really taking a look at how many emails are you sending out? How many, once somebody joins there, how many emails are you sending that individual? How often are you sending them? Once a week for 2 weeks. And then after that, once a month. BS. Someone else is going to come in there and control the mind share.
That's right.
So for me, I would start taking a look at how many emails are you sending out? And to me, the answer is never enough. If you get people unsubscribing, great. To me, this is, again, something else that that I think people have wrong is they look at unsubscribes like, oh no, they unsubscribed. I might be sending out too much. I look at unsubscribe as the same thing as somebody telling me no or F off on the phone. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. Right. I have to get a certain amount of no's in order to get a certain amount of yeses.
Business 101 equation.
Yeah.
But Nick, what I love is that, I mean, think about this, right? Like, oh, I got to have this bigger email list, Man, think about this. If you had 150 on your email list that are opening and engaging and engage, subscribing and doing business with you versus 10,000 that nobody does anything, like, of course, like it's a deselection process. We're trying to move the people that are never going to do business with us out of the way so we can spend more time on the people that are.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. It's help the people swim into the boat, right? Help the people who are swimming in the boat. That's what it's about. And this is something I feel like I don't hear people talk about too much. It's consistency across all platforms, a consistent message across all platforms. So like just for example, like how our media teams works. We do one long form video that goes YouTube and maybe Facebook in some places. That gets downloaded into a podcast. It also gets repurposed on multiple platforms. And then we copyright it and send it out in emails. People ask, how can, like, I'll be sitting there and they get an email from me. They're like, you didn't write this email. I'm like, damn straight, I didn't. I shouldn't be writing all my emails. It gets transcribed and copyrighted. And the reason I'm bringing that up is anywhere you go, you will see a consistent message from us.
Right.
Consistent message. I always say our audience is like children. They have to hear the same thing multiple times in order for them to actually do it. How many times do you have to tell your kid to do something before they finally do it? 7 to 10, if they ever even do it, right? Our audience is the same way. They're like children. So I think having a consistent message across platforms is really important as well, especially when it comes to conversion and getting people to take action, because confused people don't take action. If you have content that's going out, some of it's from you, some of it is just, something you copy and pasted. And then you have a basic email sequence going out that is just, Follow Up Boss has an email sequence. So I'll just plug them into that. You have like 7 different messages hitting people. They get confused. They don't even know it's you. So I think like just having a consistent message across all platforms and utilizing some of these great things on AI now too. Like, I'll tell you what, you want to talk about follow-up? Like we're working actually on a sales chat bot, like a sales bot that will literally be able to text follow-up, do the conversations, everything for you. So like, man, write emails. You give them 1 email, gives you 25. It's amazing like what you can do on this. We're basically using AI to run our entire business. We cut our staff by about 75% overnight. So we're like, dude, we don't need any of these people anymore. No offense, but like AI solved a lot of that. So I think there's so much that people could be doing with this. Just to be consistent. And my whole thing is there's no such thing as too much. There is such thing as not enough.
I would agree. And to your point, as humans, I think it's probably maybe 10, 11, probably in double digits now. It was like 7 to 9 that, from a team member standpoint, they needed to hear the same message, that many times before they took it as, okay, hey, maybe this is something that we're really going to take action on. And so just because I've seen it too many times to where if you're shifting your message as the winds are moving, then your people are never going to listen to you, and they're just going to go back doing what they believe that they should be doing in order to, one, keep their job. At that point, they're like, I'm just going to do what I need to do to keep my job, but I'm not going to listen to this. I'm not going to listen to that until they hear it that many times. Yeah. I think hearing that message that many times, but then also, Nick, I think number of impressions that you've got to be showing up before they're willing to even listen. I think that's 2 different things.
Yeah.
I think, Kern talks about it. It's multiple 20s of times that they have to have an impression before that they're maybe even willing to listen. And then you nailed it, man. I loved how you said that, right? That confused mind doesn't buy, because they need to hear that same message 7 to 9 times. Yeah. What if it took 25 to 30 impressions of seeing you on social, seeing you in their mailbox, seeing you, hearing your voice on the phone? and you know, like I said, showing up in their inbox, showing up in their mailbox, say it takes them 25 to 30 times before they hear you.
Right.
And then if you don't drop it the same message, you know, double-digit times, then I feel like they're going to just shut down, and that whole process might have to start all over again. I think that's kind of where, you know, you can shorten that process by staying, we're going to come back to the word, man, consistent.
And it's the difference between a crowd and an audience. A crowd are people who stop by, they listen to you speak, they like part of it, and then they don't, they leave. And then they walk by again, they hear it, they don't, and you leave. You're never going to get a true audience. An audience are people who they see the concert coming to town for 2 months. They call John, they're like, MGK is coming to town. John doesn't care where it's at in the country. He's flying in. Right? Like, you're camping out. You got the t-shirts, you got the swag, you're paying $15 for a beer just because you know what you're going to hear and you want to be there. And then like some people, it's like you buy an MGK concert and then you walk into like an opera and you're just like people are like, what is this? They're just going to leave. They don't even care if they paid money to be there. They're going to leave. So I think that's the difference between a crowd and an audience. You want a consistent message? Well, that's how you gain an audience. And there's something on the follow-up too. This was something that we implemented at the call center that worked fantastic. Just follow-up Fridays. We would do call nights every single week. And then one of the nights, follow-up Fridays. Every Friday, we hop on that same Zoom and everybody just does follow-ups. You follow up to all your nurtures, you follow up to people you had conversations with, and just implements it into part of like the rhythm that you have.
I love that. So we've been talking a lot about, you know, message to market match. We're talking about the audience as buyer and sellers. There's so much what you're sharing and talking about is principle based, so it carries over into whatever you're trying to do. Right. Let's shift over now to agents.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. So the reason why I'm getting like this is because I think there is a huge opportunity here. You know, so like we've been hosting a group for the last 2 years. You know, we've been working with a lot of people on the back ends of their agent attraction. Last 2 years, we've been hosting this group and talking about it. I believe now is one of the best opportunities that's out there. I get it. People are losing agents left. Like, let's be honest. Let's talk candy here for a minute. People are losing agents right now. EXP, all companies are losing agents because there's a huge fallout of agents just within the business, let alone that is out there. But I think when you talk about identifying the problem, I think this one is blaring. And I don't know why most people aren't seeing it, but here, we're going to give it to you. So like the problem that I just see as like, I believe it's one of the biggest opportunities for EXP agent attraction right now. Just think about how other companies are structured. What happens when the market like tightens up? Most team leads and brokers, let's face it, most team leads and brokers are probably responsible for a lot of the production that's on the team. They boast these big numbers on their team, but we know it's that one person at the top, right?
Right.
So what happens when the market starts going like this? They start keeping the good leads for themselves. They start going back into production because that's just what they know to make money. So what happens when the leaders of these companies start going back into production and focusing more on what they're doing? Other people aren't getting communicated with. The leads, I've heard of many companies taking away leads or shrinking the amount of leads that are going out. What else goes when the market is shrinking? Coaching and training generally goes. There's not as much going on because more people are focused on their own production. So if you think about this from an industry, the industry is already kind of has this fear around it. Will there be a recession? Won't there be? There's less leads, the inventory is lower. And then what starts happening on their team leads and their leaders start going back into production. They stop giving you as many leads. They stop giving you as much coaching. That is a huge problem that is just waiting for somebody. So this was actually something that we got from that same Key West trip. It was like the last day. It was everything already wrapped up. And I'm sitting there and Al looks at me. He's like, hey, man, I'm going to breakfast with Gene Frederick, Brenko, Mike Reese. Like, I'm going to breakfast with these guys. You want to go? I'm like, yeah, I want to go. I'm like, when is it? He's like, 3 hours. I'm like, all right, let's go back. Let's go to sleep. So we went back. One of the names there didn't make it. I won't give out who didn't make it to this breakfast. But we were sitting there. This is what Gene Frederick, he said, if you out-coach, out-train, out-communicate the competition, they'll join you no matter what brokerage you're at.
Yep.
Let's take a look at this, guys. There's some agents who are leaving EXP because let's face it, you can handhold them all you want. They still ain't going to produce anywhere they go. I don't care what brokerage they go to, they will not produce. But then there's some agents who are like, look, to leave EXP, somebody out-coach, out-train, out-communicated us. They didn't have a better model. I can guarantee you that. The model wasn't better. But that's the exact reason people are going to join right now more than ever. Their leaders have to go back into production because they have to live. They're tightening up the leads. They're tightening up the coaching and training. Get on the phones, offer coaching, offer training, offer guidance. You know, there's questions that you just call and ask. Hey, what's your plan for the next 30 days? You mind if we come up with one together? Let's do it. Hey, we're doing a great coaching segment. Invite them to expert mentors. Like you could literally be sitting in your office right now. Like, this is the great thing we found about virtual events too. You don't have to host the event. Literally invite agents into your office. Hey, we have this great coaching going on. Nick Krem's going to come on and talk about how to bring in more leads. Or GoGo's going to come on with John Kitchens, going to talk about social media. Put it up on your TV, invite agents into the office, get coaching and training, and just sit there like, hey, what'd you learn from this? What are you getting from it? Invite the community. You don't have to put on an event at all to host an event like in person that's virtual. Utilize and leverage all the coaching, the training that's going on here. Communicate with them more than their current broker. They're going to join you no matter where you're at. Right now, there is a huge problem for most agents. They're getting less communication. They're getting less coaching and leads in a time they need more of it. Like right now is when they need more of that. And
they do.
It's the perfect platform to do that.
And, you know, you can kind of throw this all into one. There's a leadership void. And it's you know, it's not the business problem. It's the leadership problem and you're right. Because you've got a lot of these people that were, you know, getting fat and happy because their agents that typically would do 1 or 2 deals were now doing 6 or 7 deals because everybody in their sphere was looking to buy or sell.
Yeah.
And you look at, okay, well, the agents, and this is one of the other things that I'm seeing, the agents that are thriving, you know, doing those 2 things, but there's also, they know their numbers. They know what's working. They know where the business is coming from. They know what their ROI is. And the agents that know those things, they have a higher probability of being able to step back in their business, not be dependent upon their production. And so, you know, I mean, obviously every market condition is different. The objective, you know, whatever their goal and, you know, their pursuit of whatever their freedom. But it all comes down to leadership. And, you know, I'm hearing you loud and clear. That leader that now, you know, did not know their numbers correctly, was not paying attention to certain things, is now getting hit with that, you know, that 2x4 that's forcing them back into production.
Yeah.
And so now they don't have leadership created to fill that leadership void. And that's just a matter of time for those that are coming in and that are out coaching, out training, out communicating, and then their current, now they're going to start to listen because what are they craving? They're craving leadership. And so to me, that's when I hear you say that, that's what's whistling in my ear is there's a leadership void that's happening in every market.
And, you know, I think it's also and I love how you said that too, the leadership void. Because that's the gap. If you want to look at a problem, that's the gap. And if you can fill that gap for agents, they're going to want to join you. But I think it's also, you know, it's understanding the time that we're in right now. When it's a tough time in business, people don't want to hear, well, if you had rev share and stock, you could have avoided all this. Because guess what? That's a pain they have. The pain is right now. Yeah. The pain that they have isn't, well, if you had this and you could have, well, I don't have this right now, John, right? So like what we want to do is we want to approach this, I'll coach, I'll train, I'll communicate. And there was one other thing I wanted to say about that too, that you were talking about the agent attraction and bringing people on. I don't remember my train of thought, but I think it's just that leadership gap I think is like super, super important to fill.
Yeah, it really is. And, you know, if you think about that whole concept around, you know, being so reactive to what's floating downstream and collecting what's in the river instead of getting upstream and seeing what's causing the things for that to happen.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you instead of treating the current situation, let's think out and be like, okay, well, what drives like this to where if I start today, like, and I get it. I'm back in production, but if I focus on these couple things, that's going to, you know, set set things in motion in the future, definitely getting into a platform that allows, collaboration on the highest of levels like this.
And, oh, sorry, go ahead, John.
And so I think, like that is like one of the moves to get out ahead of it. If not, then you're going to provide it, man. I coach people that left EXP.
Yeah.
And I could tie it back to one thing. It was the leadership void.
Yep. And I remember what I was going to say too. It's really, when you want to understand a problem, you have to understand who's on the other side of it. The ICP, ideal client profile. Actually, funny story with that. We were saying ICP for months, and Mario, the cameraman here, he thought I was saying insane clown posse. I'm like, no, like 3 months in, I finally told him what it was, and his whole mind was like, whoa. I'm like, all right. So ICP, just to identify this as ideal client profile.
Yeah, that's funny.
Putting ourselves in the shoes of these agents. There is an agent out there right now, hoping, begging, praying for a solution to their problems in business. Yep. They don't know where to go. The leadership, dude, you could have said it better, John. The leadership gap. They're looking for leadership and guidance right now. And the best thing we can do is call and invite them to a coaching, invite them to a training, invite them into an atmosphere. Because I'll tell you what, we learned this one from Shep Black. They have to experience what it's like to partner with you before they ever do.
100%.
Have them experience what it's like to get coaching training from the top people. Show them the lead platform, KV Core, and the different places that you can utilize to generate leads. But like, to get over that call reluctance, like, oh man, I don't want to call people. There is an agent. I guarantee if people handwrite their top 100, which by the way, one of the best things you can do for agent attraction, handwrite your top 100 at the top of every month. Handwrite it. Don't put it in a CRM. Like, click it and forget it. Handwrite it. But there's an 100%. Agent right now that that is hoping, praying, begging for you to call them. They might not know it's you specifically, but they are praying for an answer to their problems in business. We sometimes have to get out of our own way and looking for that solution. Yeah, because they don't have the right leadership and there's not enough coaching or training where they're at. So if you're second guessing calling, just think of that one. Like, you might get 10, 20 no's, but there's one person that will be so thankful, that will be sharing a story, maybe even on stage one day, about how I was sitting there. I didn't even know if I was going to continue real estate, but John called me and that changed everything.
Changed everything. Just one conversation away.
Yeah.
One conversation away. Nick, brother, man, I appreciate you always bringing the fire. I mean, I think, a couple of our keywords, here, leadership, the consistency, being able to just communicate at a high level, and really just showing up, man, and putting in the work, because, if you're showing up, and that's what always, from a leadership perspective, is that you have a responsibility, and everybody that's hearing this, listening to this, you have a responsibility, because there's people looking to you. So if you're there and you're like, man, you got that list, and it's like, man, it's just something that's stopping you from reaching out to them, just know you have a responsibility, because they're searching, they're trying to solve a problem, and it's just our responsibility to reach out to them, because we can help them.
Yeah, absolutely. No, John,
awesome, brother.
Thanks for having me on, man. It's always a pleasure coming on here, man.
Always, man. Appreciate you. We'll catch you guys next time. See ya.